Hello everybody, my name is Jerry Wise and I'm a life and relationship coach, and I've been helping people for 45 years now and helping them learn to self-differentiate. I work with adult children of alcoholics, codependents, adult children of narcissists, families, couples, businesses, executives, and I do consulting using a family systems approach. This video is entitled 9 Ways to Detach. These are not all the ways that we can detach, but at least it's a good chunk of them that might help you to think more about detachment. Excuse me. And I would like you to join the YouTube channel and click the join button. You can become a member on the channel too to support doing videos. I would like you to click the bell so that you can get any new videos you would be notified of those. I'm planning to do more content in the upcoming weeks. I have a lot of people who are reaching out to me who are hurting and who have been helped by some of my videos because they're hearing things they don't normally hear from other folks or therapists or coaches, and I think that's why the material's been so helpful. I do use a Bowen family systems approach, which I think is becoming more popular, and I've been doing that for many years, and I found it the most helpful for my own recovery as a codependent. And I just really believe that it can benefit my viewers significantly. So today, I'd like to talk about those 9 ways to detach. And I'm not going to go into detail into each one, but I'd like to share them with you. And if you would like to work with me or one of my associates, you can contact me in the information down below. And you can have sessions to help you to learn to differentiate more in your own recovery. And I believe self-differentiation is like the stage 3 of recovery from alcoholism, codependency, addictions, emotional obsessions, relationship addictions, and all kinds of other difficulties. This stage 3 is kind of the becoming yourself, not just stopping being codependent, but starting being me, for example. And that's what I began to do in my own recovery. I was taught by many self-help books, etc., how to try to stop codependency, but I found far less information and help with how do I become more me? How do I become more detached, since I was so used to a codependent enmeshment in relationships? I really believe that becoming detached was very helpful in this approach, which I wasn't able to achieve for a long time. So let's talk about number 1. If you really want to detach from someone or detach from a family of origin, we can do that through resolving our fantasies and dreams about what we'd hope the relationship would be, how we hope the relationship would be in the future, and what we always dreamed about or wanted. If we hold on to those dreams and fantasies, we miss ourselves and stay fused to whomever we're hoping about or wanting to perfect or wanting to change. And a way to detach is begin to resolve those fantasies. That the fantasy of the family I always wanted is not going to happen. The fantasy of the marriage I always wanted with this person is not going to happen. The fantasy of this friend being the friend I always wanted them to be is not going to happen. And grieve the loss of those fantasies and those dreams. That can bring about a great deal of detachment. Secondly, I think it can be helpful to detach by stop rehearsing systems feelings. Excuse me. I have a video on true feelings versus systems feelings, and I've got a couple, 2-3 videos on that topic, and you may find that helpful, because what we find ourselves doing is just rehearsing those feelings over and over again. But we're actually rehearsing false feelings: hurt, anger, rejection, abandonment. Not that we haven't been abandoned, not that we haven't been rejected. That can happen in real life. I mean, it does. But so many times, guilt, shame, many of those feelings come out of the system and the context and the emotional field that I'm connected to, that's the way I'm supposed to feel. That's why when we feel false guilt, which is we feel guilty for nothing we have done wrong. You know, if your dad said, you know, I just don't know why you keep making your mother so sad. And then we feel guilty when really we're going, I haven't done anything to make my mother feel sad. But yet now I feel guilty. It's a false feeling, and we rehearse those feelings over and over again. When actually, no, mom makes herself sad. I'm just being me. I'm not being mean or hurtful or unkind. I'm just being me, but mom wants me to be something else. That's why she's sad. So there's no need for me to feel guilty. But dad would like you to feel guilty. And why would he like you to feel guilty? So that you will change and make her happy. You will be her happiness. And that's just keeps us very fused with too much togetherness and not detachment. Thirdly, stop being over serious. Oftentimes, if we've been in dysfunctional families and grew up in dysfunctional families, or have very or we have many relationships that are very over serious, and so we take everything so serious. Oh my gosh, what if they feel this way? Oh my gosh, what if they feel that way? And we don't practice the so what. You know, if that's what they choose to feel, I'm not making them feel this way. So what? It's their choice to feel this way. I'm not responsible for their feelings. And I like to take the situation as hopeless but not serious mindset. And we can even, you know, I've even practiced when someone has said something to me that is upsetting or has been felt hurtful or I felt guilty, I will repeat in my own privacy of my own place, I will repeat their statement in a very kooky way, and to almost make it sound funny. You know, well, Jerry, you're just stupid. Well, Jerry, you're just stupid. Because I want to take the power out of that seriousness. Because that seriousness is what catches us. That's what really keeps us fused. And so we need to turn it into a joke. And there's nothing more effective when there's over serious dysfunction than to be playful and joking about a serious situation. And it helps us to detach, and it can. Number 4, stop waiting for others to change or hoping that others will change. And it connects to the first one about dreams of fantasies. But we keep putting ourselves on hold, which means I stay in the enmeshment, waiting on them to change. Well, should I give my husband, who's a narcissist, another 6 months to see if he changes? What we want to ask ourselves is, if he remains the same person right now and does not change, what are you going to do and what do you want? Can you stay in the relationship? Do you want to stay in the relationship? You have to choose what you're going to do. And I understand there's lots of complications and financial enmeshment that goes on. I'm not saying these are all easy, quick fixes, but what we want to do is to stop spending our lives trying to change other people or offering never-ending understanding to others. If my husband is going to be, or my wife is going to be this way, how do I need to adjust, rather than waiting for them to adjust or to change? Fifthly, I ask the question, what would I do, what would I think, what would I feel if this didn't matter? If the situation didn't matter, what would I feel or do? And number 5 is do what you would do or think or feel if it didn't matter. And I've used that many times to help myself detach from this emotionally tense situation where I have difficulty being myself or difficulty making choices. If your parents, if your spouse didn't feel guilty, didn't feel hurt, didn't feel upset, what would you do? And again, you're making it as though it didn't matter. And I like to make it as though it doesn't matter because it really only matters to me. It doesn't have to matter to other people. If I'm being myself, being caring, appropriate, being an adult, it doesn't matter what other people's reactions are, because people will have all kinds of reactions. And even by doing something good in a dysfunctional family, you can create a lot of negative feelings within the system. They will create a lot of negative feelings within themselves because they want you to change. They want you to be serious. They have fantasies and dreams about you. And so that hooks us in. So if we take a more of a so what approach, then we can find ourselves having less enmeshment. Number 6, we want to stay I when others are demanding we. So many times in relationships, there's a pull towards we-ness, and especially if there's been dysfunctional families. Dysfunctional families pull towards the we-ness, either through negative behavior or love bombing or any number of things. They'll pull towards the we-ness, and we want to stay in an I position. And we'll have an overbalance of we-ness versus I-ness. And so we want to balance those out and make sure we have enough I-ness. Stay I when others are demanding we. This helps to bring about greater detachment. Number 7, avoid polarization. And polarization is the pendulum I talk about in the codependent pendulum or the relationship pendulum, in which you go from being enmeshed, codependent, compliant, to now I'm being anti, rejecting, angry. I'm over here on this side. That's a polarization. And we want to avoid that polarization and get to a 90-degree mark, because it's at the 90 degrees that we have true detachment. And I like the term polarization because that's where we are codependent and then we become anti-codependent, in which now I've got to assert myself about everything and everywhere, but often in a reactive way. That's polarization. And we don't want A or B, we want C, which is being myself while staying connected in an adult way. Then we're not doing the anti position in the relationship, because anti positions cause so many times as much trouble as staying in the original position in the first place. Number 8, be clear about your own personal values, your own personal wants, needs. Even as simple as, well, honey, where do you want to go eat? Oh, I don't know, dear, wherever you would like. Well, stop for a minute and go, well, where would I like to eat? Well, I'd like to go to a Mexican restaurant. Well, honey, my stomach's been upset. I'm not sure I want to go to a Mexican restaurant. That's fine. That's just where I wanted to go, but it doesn't mean we have to go there. But I do have wants and needs, and I'm expressing those. But it doesn't mean I can't compromise or do other things. You know, do you want to buy this car or that car? Oh, I don't know, whatever you... No, I would prefer that car. But I could live with this car, and I'd be very happy. You know, but I do have a preference. And so we want to be clear about our own personal values, preferences, principles. And so doing work in those areas can help you be more detached, because you're focused on where you stand and your state of being rather than everybody else's state of being, which then keeps us enmeshed and not detached. Excuse me. And number 9, I really like Edwin Friedman's book, The Failure of Nerve, and I used a couple of his points from the book, and this one I liked from the book because it really kind of focuses on detachment. Take maximum responsibility for one's own emotional being and destiny rather than blaming others or the situation. And I think that's what we want to avoid, is blaming others and blaming the situation. That we take full responsibility for how we're functioning in this system rather than just blaming others. Blaming is a form of pursuit. Taking a victim role is a form of seeing the context, is also a form of pursuit that keeps me in the victim role. And so we want to stop blaming. We want to stop blaming the situation. Now, that doesn't mean situations don't really happen. That doesn't mean people do not do things that are hurtful. I understand that. But we want to be careful not to stay in the hurt, stay in the blaming, stay in the anger, stay in the situation as it was, because then we have a 20-year love affair with this bad situation. And what we want to do is learn to detach more from the situation so we can let it go, rather than having a 20-year love affair with being a victim, or 20-year love affair with being hurt, or those kinds of things. So it's about growing up, even if we have been treated badly, and many people have been. And so we want to take maximum responsibility for ourselves in the emotional system, rather than just blaming others and just blaming the situation. So if we resist those, we will be more detached. There are many other ways that we can detach, and I'll be sharing some of those in the future. I hope you'll join this YouTube channel, click the bell for notifications of new videos, join one of the inexpensive memberships to help support the channel so we can continue to bring more free videos to you. I want to thank you for watching today, and I hope you have a great day, and be wise.